You're here. Good.
So, how are they?
Still locked in slumber, but otherwise in good physical health. For the present, at least.
For the present? Oh no, is something wrong with them?
I'm afraid there may be. I summoned you after detecting faint signs of instability in Thancred's corporeal ether. But subsequent examination suggested all 5 might be affected. And when I examined them just now, my fears were confirmed. Tellingly, the degree of instability varies between them. Thancred exhibits the most notable signs, followed by Y'shtola and Urianger. The twins' ether, meanwhile, remains relatively stable, but there is a change there too if one knows to look for it.
Hold on. Isn't that the order they were called away in?
Indeed. Which leads me to believe the instability will only increase with time. Though I can but speculate, I fear this may be a symptom of a weakening link between body and soul.
By the gods! What happens if the link is broken?
I cannot say for certain. This is all unknown territory to us. Yet whatever happens, it cannot be good. Mercifully, the instability is still only slight. And you may rest assured, Master Matoya and I will do everything in our power to keep it from worsening. Be that as it may, it is imperative that you find a way to restore our friends' souls to their bodies. Thank you.
But where's she even supposed to start? We had the greatest minds in the realm hunting high and low for an answer, and they ran out of places to look.
You stated in your report that the Exarch had originally intended to reverse the summoning process by means of his own death, correct? Raha always was a reckless young fool, ready to die for the first righteous cause that came along. His plan might well have worked, but I, for one, am glad he never had the opportunity to see it through. Even if it does mean our friends must remain stranded a while longer. There is another way, I am sure of it. And the key lies with him, with the Exarch. Pray return to the First and apprise him and the others of the situation. We, meanwhile, will do what we can from here. And, if the fates are kind, we will have good news to share upon your return.
Pray excuse my late arrival.
Will Thancred and Reen not be joining us?
Nay, milady. With apologies to all, they beg leave to pursue their investigation of the empty to its conclusion. Should matters here demand their presence, however, they did assure me that they would make themselves available.
Yes, of course. Then let us proceed. I think it best that you begin by providing a summary of Mistress Kryle's findings.
I suppose it was only to be expected that some change would occur.
Yet our souls seem unaffected, to my eye at least. How long they will remain so is another question. Kryle is right. It is imperative we find a way to return to the source.
Perhaps an explanation of the method by which I brought you here will yield some inspiration. Ere I begin, it must be noted that I am by no means a gifted mage. In order to employ powerful magics, I must rely upon the Crystal Tower and its boundless reservoirs of energy. The magic that summoned you was no exception. 'Tis a singular spell, adapted through painstaking effort from the technique that transported me to the First. To use an analogy, it works by cutting a hole in the fabric of reality. A hole tailored to the object of summoning, through which it and it alone may pass unscathed. Though I succeeded in creating said hole, I failed to latch onto my intended target. Instead of you, the spell found those close to you, and ended up summoning them in their incomplete state. I would not soon throw my life away, not after the lengths you and yours went to save it. And so long as I breathe, I will spare no effort to see you safely home. But should all else fail, and your lives be at stake, there remains one sure method.
What was that for?
How can you even entertain such thoughts? You owe your life to the Warrior of Light, and you don't get to die unless she says so.
Your followers await your divine judgment.
What did you just...
If the two of you have finished, perhaps we could return to our discussion? Rather than dwelling upon the multiple failed attempts at transference, I think it would behoove us to focus on the solitary success. I would draw your attention to the fact that our friend can travel between worlds possessed not only of her body and soul, but her personal effects besides. This is no different from the teleportation magics to which we are all accustomed. Magics that allow for the transportation of those inanimate objects one considers to be an extension of oneself.
Are you suggesting that simply by considering us her possessions, she could carry our souls back to the source upon her person?
Well, it would be nice if things were that simple for a change. But vague notions of ownership seem a rather tenuous thing to stake our lives on. So much as a moment of doubt on her part, and we'd be left floating in the rift.
Milady hath the right of it. The requisite fixity of belief would be too much to ask, even of our friend. Yet were we to immure our souls within an object in her possession, mayhap then our safe passage could be assured. White Auracite would, I believe, serve as a suitable vessel for this purpose. It was conceived to imprison the massy soul of an Ascian, and should house one of ours with relative ease. We would need only to ensure our soul's safe preservation inside the stone, and identify a means by which they might be transferred back unto our vacant bodies.
Soul preservation and transference. I believe I know of someone who may be able to assist us. On the far shore of the source, there stands a great palace built by the elves. It was forsaken in the wake of the flood, but a certain Numo chose to make their home there soon after. Though they have long lived as a recluse, they once occupied a place of honor in Verbert's royal court, and it is said that none in all of Norvrandt is more knowledgeable than they on matters of the soul.
Well, I've no objection to seeking a helping hand, but if they've gone to such lengths to hide themselves away from the world, what makes you think they'd be willing to lend us one?
A worthy question. Years ago, I myself tried and failed to solicit their cooperation in the battle against the Sin Eaters. No sooner had I begun to make my plea than they unleashed a swarm of their familiars upon me. Unlike me, however, you have curried favor with the Fae folk. By that merit alone, I am hopeful that they would grant you an audience. They may still be inclined to turn you away, of course, but if their knowledge might feasibly facilitate your return home, we have to try.
That was my fiercest familiar. Oh, impressive.
Backlogue, 'tis good to see you again after all these years. And judging by your vigorous greeting, I dare say the feeling is mutual. To be sure, a simple shake of the hand would have sufficed by way of welcome, but I shan't complain. But you must be wondering as to the purpose of our visit. We come to beg your assistance in a most urgent matter.
Shake? Beg?
Our comrades' very souls are in danger. If we are to save them, we will need the benefit of your unsurpassed knowledge on the matter. Please, will you not sit and hear our plea?
Oh, how dare you! How dare you speak thus in my presence! It was to escape such words of temptation that I hid myself from the world of men. You are sinners, one and all, and I swore never again to have any part in your affairs.
I can only imagine what terrible events forced you into a life of seclusion. But I know that the Numo are a good and noble folk. It is not in your nature to turn a blind eye to the plight of those around you. And in treating with us, I am certain whatever mistrust you feel for man will begin to heal.
If you will not be satisfied, I suppose I could listen. After all, there's no harm in just... No, I mustn't. Not again. That damned court mage seemed to have the best of intentions too, and countless innocents died for my naivety. Oh, you know not what you ask of me, what horrors my knowledge has wrought. Of all the visitors I could possibly have, they're even more stubborn than I am.
Oh. No.
Oh, very well. I will hear your petition, but that is all. And I expect fitting payment for my troubles.
Commensurate with your contribution to our cause. No more and no less, I promise you. With that settled, might I impose upon you to join us at the Crystarium? I'm afraid the nature of my friend's predicament calls for absolute secrecy.
sorry. You mean to tell me not only that the return of night was your doing, but that you hail from another world as well?
Everything we told you, of the source, the shards, the 7 umbral calamities, all of it is true. I realize how fantastical it sounds, and I would not blame you for doubting our testimony. But given your expertise, you must surely have noted the peculiar nature of their souls.
Any other time and I would have dismissed your stories as balderdash and flummery. But upon closer inspection, 'tis plain their souls are far denser than is normal, and that they do not possess true bodies. Save you. Your body is your own. And your soul is the densest of them all.
As I said before, were it not for their heroism, the skies over Norvrandt would still be awash with light, the realm yet at the mercy of 4-3 and the Sin Eaters. After all they have done for our home, seeing them safely back to their own, it seems the very least we can do.
Your tale is intriguing. Yes, very intriguing indeed. Simply to hear it is fitting payment in itself. As for your friends, I can but agree. Their valorous deeds on behalf of Norvrandt are deserving of recognition, of their own fitting payment.
You will help us then?
I will. I would see my knowledge put to good use for a change. I do have one condition, however. I am not the spry young Numo I once was. As such, I will require assistance in my fieldwork and testing.
It would be our pleasure. We'll be laboring for our own benefit after all.
Let us begin. I trust you've prepared the clay? Very good. Now, I would have you sculpt for me a porksy. Plump, with floppy ears and a short curly tail.
A porksy. I think I know what you mean. There we are. How's that?
Well, it is certainly creative. There's no denying that.
Yes, I'm no artist. Very funny.
Pay him no mind, child. Though it may look like a grotesque parody of reality, it is what the invoker believes that matters.
You're not helping.
But I speak the truth. If successful, this incantation will turn imagination into reality. Which is why the only thing of import is what you believe this figure embodies. You must focus. Hold the porksy's image steady in your mind's eye. Now then, as I taught you, relax and allow your energies to flow.
With flesh of clay I bid thee rise, on wings of dreams to touch the skies. What once was idle fantasy, I call forth to reality!
Not bad for a first attempt. Now, let us see what can be done for young Halric. Through the operation of the magics you invoked to animate this familiar, it is now replete with the energies required to stir the boy's soul. You need but give it a name, and it will do as your heart desires.
A name. All right, I've decided. Now. Go, Angelo!
Mother, I...
heavens, you're here!
Lady Chai, whatever is the matter?
I knew not where else to turn. Oh, this is all too much for my poor heart to bear alone.
Alone? What of Master Chai?
But that is the very reason I summoned you. He's gone.
What? What happened?
It all began after the events at Mount Gulg. With Lord Vorthry out of the way, we all agreed that a new leader must be chosen.
And so you held an election?
Yes, well, sort of. Not a single person volunteered to stand, you see. After a lifetime of leisure, we free citizens have grown somewhat indolent. Readapting to the harsh realities of life is trying enough, but to take charge of a broken city as well? No one wanted such responsibility. Nevertheless, Yulmore could not well do without a leader, and so we decided that anyone and everyone should be considered a candidate. And after we cast our ballots and tallied the votes, the mayorship fell upon my dear husband.
Well, given the manner in which he orchestrated the construction of the giant Talos, none could deny his leadership qualities.
But even before then, he had proven himself at Daedalus Stoneworks, don't forget. He is more than qualified for the role. The perfect choice. Indeed. I told him as much when his victory was first announced. But perhaps I was too forceful in my attempt to encourage him. For shortly after that, he vanished without a word.
You believe he was so daunted by the burden of leadership that he felt compelled to flee? Please, Lady Chai, dry your eyes. Your husband does not strike me as the sort of man who would abandon his duty, much less his beloved wife. There has to be some other reason for his absence.
You truly think so? What about you? What do you think has become of my husband?
And there you have it, Lady Chai. You needn't worry. Master Chai loves you more than all the world, and he will return. Wherever he may have gone, rest assured we will find him.
Thank you, my dear boy. You have set my mind at ease. I will trust in my husband and await his return.
Well, well, it's you again. Well, I see you've invited your friends. Need them to fight your battles for you, do you?
No, I didn't invite them, as it happens, though they are indeed my friends. Well, not only mine, but every true Yulmoran's. They are the ones who awakened us to the truth, to Lord Vorthry's villainy, the famous warriors of darkness.
Are they now?
Yes, they are. It would be no exaggeration to call them our saviors. We owe much and more to their kindness, but we cannot depend on that kindness forever. To do so would be a little different from entrusting our affairs to Lord Vorthry. Nay, we must learn to stand on our own 2 feet. And I would have them present to witness my attempt.
Hear, hear, Master Chai.
Your sentiments are admirable. Yet admirable sentiments do not a nation make. In my capacity as advisor, I once strove to build a better Yulmore. Gave honest counsel to my superiors, drafted laws for the benefit of one and all. But in time, my values fell out of favor. There was no need for them in this paradise Vorthry was creating. And so I left my homeland behind. But you, Chai News, you were content to wallow in indolence under Vorthry's auspices. And so I cannot help but ask myself what manner of nation you intend to build.
I can offer no simple answer to that question. But this much I will say. It is my hope that Yulmore can become a nation which her citizens might freely choose to build together. A great many people, myself included, flocked to Yulmore seeking sanctuary. The alternative being to live in fear and die in pain. It seemed an easy choice. And sanctuary we found. As much food and drink as we could ever want. Secured at the cost of the surrounding villages. Little wonder the people gathered at our doorstep, begging to work among the bonded. The free were blind to it all, of course. Content to, as you say, wallow in indolence. In ignorance. Were I mayor, I would first take stock of the city's resources and see that they were assigned equitably. Our days of reckless consumption are behind us. The distinction between free and bonded died with VOR3. The needs of rich and poor alike must be considered if our nation is to survive. To which end I would take steps to secure channels for supplies, rekindle relations with nearby settlements, who re-establish industry, reach out to neighboring nations, and the list goes on and on. But I am no ruler, nor even a politician. I am an entrepreneur. My expertise lie in planning and profit. I haven't the knowledge or experience to run a nation. Please, Rendon, will you not help me? Together, we could solve the city's problems. Build a Yulmore for the people.
Yulmore for the people. I rather like the sound of that. But before I offer you my counsel, I would be certain of your ability to perform the duties of office.
You would?
You ask me to help you solve Yulmore's problems. But first, I would see you solve one on your own. Accomplish that, and you will prove both to me and the people that you are a man worth following.
Right. Right then. Form a line and make for Yulmore.
What's that noise? Wicked White! Runaway Talos! Call the guard! Stay back! All of you!
Is that... Darling, you're back.
But of course I'm back. You didn't see...
Dearest, I can't...
Oh! Oh dear.
Oh, thank you.
I'm sorry, my darling. It's just the sight of you filled me with such joy, I couldn't help myself.
Oh, no, it's all right, dear. I should have just come out and said what it was I was intending, instead of entrusting the task to a hastily scribbled letter.
Does that mean you'll do it?
Well, I'm here, aren't I? I mean, not that my absence signified any unwillingness, you understand? Oh, no, naught could be further from the truth. I only left to enlist the aid of the former mayor's senior advisor. And now that I have it, I believe I am ready to take office.
Oh, how wonderful!
Dearest, please!
Go on, dear.
Thank you all for gathering here today. But before going any further, could I ask the free citizens of Yulmore to look around? "'Tis a sight none of us would ever have seen under Lord Forthry's rule. Not only do we stand in the familiar presence of those we once called the Bonded, but today we welcome the peoples of the Derelicts and Gate Town too. Today we welcome the Warriors of Darkness, come to bear witness to Yulmore's new beginning. As you know, an election was recently held, at the end of which I had the honor of being chosen to succeed Lord Forthry. You place great faith in me, and I promise to do my utmost to live up to your expectations, and I will seek always to carry out the duties of this office with integrity and fairness. Always, I say, but not forever. Let it be known that I do not intend to hold this post indefinitely. I consider myself but an acting mayor, who will serve only for the interim, while Yulmore is reshaped according to a new set of values. No longer can we think of ourselves as divided, as the free and the bonded, citizens and non-citizens. The systems put in place by Lord Forthry must be undone. But even as we tear down the old, we must give thought to the new, to what manner of nation Yulmore should become. Whatever the answer may be, it cannot be decided by one man alone. And so I propose that an open forum be held, that we might all discuss how best to strive towards a better future. However, there can be no talk of the morrow unless we first address the issues of today. Securing new sources of food, rebuilding relations with our neighbors, re-establishing industry. There is much and more that needs to be done. Too much for a mere man of business. And so I pledge instead to do everything in my power to ensure our city's security and stability while we all work together to see these problems solved. The road before us will not be easy, and I know full well how daunting the prospect of honest labor may seem to some of you. But we must accept the reality of our circumstances. We must move forward. This much we owe to ourselves, and to the brave heroes who risked their lives to bring back the night. Once we have shored up our city's foundations and regained some semblance of normality, let us reconvene to speak of the future. Until then, I humbly ask that you lend me and each other your strength. For Yulmore!